Gruesome Magazine.
Hello, once again, I'm your host, Doc Rodden, and this is Gruesome Magazine, where we review the very latest in streaming and video on-demand horror movies. Each week, my co-host Jeff Mohr, Crystal Cleveland, Christopher G. Mohr, and myself will take a look at various spooky, scary, gory genre offerings. Tonight, we're reviewing There's Something Wrong with the Children.
Dun, dun, dun.
There you go. There's a 70s title for you, but that's no what. All right. Let's get into it. Let me introduce the crew, starting off with the one and only Crystal Cleveland, the Living Dead Girl. How you doing?
I'm great.
Fabulous.
I'm just wonderful. I'm having a great week. It's been really awesome. Everything's great.
Also joining us this week is award-winning filmmaker Christopher G. Mohr.
Hey, Crystal, you want to go in the woods with me?
Come
with me, Crystal.
Even creepier.
Come with me, Crystal.
Actually, you're scarier than the kids. I hate to say it, but that's true.
I am a man-child, so that makes a lot of sense. Something's wrong with the man-child. I'll be the sequel to it.
This is going to be so awkward out of context. But anyway, hey, we're here to review There's Something Wrong with the Children. This is going to be fun. What we're going to do is start off giving you our first impressions. Those first impressions will be spoiler-free, and then we'll dive into discussion and get into the nooks and crannies. That didn't come out right, but we're going to do it. And then we'll wrap things up with our score 1 to 5 and our favorite scene. Oh boy. And we hope you enjoy not only this review, but many others that we have on the site. And we hope you hit the like and subscribe buttons.
Yes.
Share with a friend.
Mm-hmm.
All those things.
Yeah. Share it like a sandwich.
Yeah.
Through YouTube. Yeah.
Share
like a sandwich. Are we
like a
gonna
sandwich.
Like a digital sandwich. Like
go.
here. Have a piece of this media that you can consume.
Man. God, all right. I'm going to hit the card now, and then we're going to move along. There's something wrong with Christopher G. Mohr. No, there's something wrong with the children. Available on digital and on demand beginning January 17th, 2023. Synopsis: a family takes a weekend trip with longtime friends and their 2 young children, but they suspect something supernatural when the kids behave strangely after disappearing into the woods overnight. Directed by Roxanne Benjamin, written by T.J. Sinfel and David White. Stars Zach Gilford, Amanda Crew, Alicia Wainwright, Carlos Santos, Burella Guiza, David Mattle, and Ramona Tyler.
There's something wrong with your pronunciation.
Why do I screw at least one good name up? I'm so sorry, Chris. All right.
It's okay.
Let's start off with our first impressions. And since you're in the corner there, sir, what is your initial reaction to Something Wrong with the Children?
Yeah, I think it's got some good elements, but it also has some bad elements that annoyed me. Mainly just the reaction of one of the main characters just made me mad.
Just one,
but just one. Well, there's all kinds of characters. I don't know. It's kind of interesting. The kids are definitely, when they change, they definitely get all creepy like. So that works. I guess I'd like to have a little bit more explanation about stuff. I mean, I could understand what they're going for, but then they didn't really give a lot of explanation about things. But I did like the production design in a certain part of the forest that they go to. I thought that looked cool.
Yeah.
And I mean, it does. I mean, there are some when it started, I was like, oh man, this kind of, I'm not sure where this is going. It started off a little bit bland, but then it got kind of interesting. And I think when there's a part where certain things happen and it gets very intense, I was like, oh, this is it's like an episode of Mohr, to where it's like where people are just going off, where people are at each other's necks and stuff. So it got kind of interesting, just the interaction and stuff and the intensity. But I don't know, it still felt very scattered and then the whole how it ends is, I mean, how it builds up towards the end doesn't make a lot of sense. So I think it's got some good elements. It's got some nice camera angles in parts. There's definitely one part that kind of reminded me of the dead at cam from Evil Dead, which made me happy. But
definitely went there.
But those visuals didn't make up for a lot of the sloppy storytelling.
Yikes! Crystal, what was your first impression of There's Something Wrong with the Children?
Okay, so I mean this movie has a lot of nods to giallo type films. In some of its shots and some of the lighting and definitely the music, and it gets heavier handed throughout the film. Um, I think that there's actually some amazingly beautiful cinematography in some of this. I looked at some of the shots and I was like, that's really nice. I love a nice camera flare and some of the things that they did. I did like the upside down shot, of course, you know. I feel like for the most part, all of the acting was really, really great. I unfortunately did not think the kids were scary at all. They were cute, but they weren't they didn't they didn't invoke fear in me at all. And I understand that that's a thing for some people, not really for me, but I have seen some scary kids, and these two precious little angels are not scary. But my main issues with this movie are really all story related. I feel like I loved the direction and the style of it. I liked the concept of it because I mean, you know, they even talk about the pit, which kind of, you know, makes me think of the pit, although that was a silly movie from the 80s. Like I don't really like unreliable narrators. I'm glad that they didn't leave us on that unreliable narrator, but I really hate when you take someone who has a mental illness and attribute that unreliable narrator thing to them. And some of the character choices were laughable and silly, and some of the things that happened, this would not happen. This would not go this way. Period. At all. It's silly. So that was unfortunate for me. I liked the end. I think that I don't understand some of the writing. I feel like some of it I don't know if I don't know what they were thinking with some of the choices. So that's the only thing. Yeah, I liked the director. I liked the way that they went with the look and the style and the feel. And I even liked the, you know, I think some people are going to be kind of it's not completely giallo, but the music is heavily giallo. So I think some people might it might be a little jarring to them like for the score, but I it cued me off and it helped me a lot. So I did really like it until I didn't. Yeah.
You liked it
So,
until you didn't.
mhm.
I'm the opposite. I didn't like it until I did. I no, I so this movie was a little flat for me at first until about maybe the last 20 minutes. Um, when it it really gets going and the some gorier moments show up and the action starts something actually starts to really happen. I was a little, I mean, I was like, I wanted to be interested and it had a concept that I could you know lean into, but it just didn't grab my attention. I didn't think the actors had much chemistry together. I wasn't feeling their relationships or I think the only one I did feel was the friendship between the two female leads.
Mhm.
I felt like there's a discussion about what happened, like prior to the story with one of the females, and that their camaraderie came across, and I thought that yes, the kids were cute, but I never got any creep vibes from them, and this
Mhm.
movie kind of depends on that.
Yeah.
And even when they get really down into the dirty of what these two little beasties are doing, it still came across kind of flat. It really isn't until things you ramp up and it gets to be a chase kind of film that I really got into what was happening. So unfortunately, the movie didn't gel or grab my attention the way I thought it could or thought it should. It almost won it over at the end, but it's just a little too late, unfortunately for me. Yikes.
Yeah.
Yeah, to me, yeah, I think to me, yeah, there never really felt like there was any kind of like chemistry between the adults. And it only got interesting for me when they were at each other's throats, when they're throwing shade at each other and throwing their pulling the skeletons out of the closet. And that's when I was like, oh damn, this is getting intense. Yeah. And I was like, it's like, you're not the father, got those type of moments you see on the shows. And then it's when it got kind of interesting. And I mean, I did, even though the kids weren't like creepy, it was, I think, how they were playing around with the fact that no one else would see stuff, and
the gaslighting that they would do.
Yeah, they're gaslighting him. But then I got mad at him because it's like, and I'm similar, Crystal. I hate it when they kind of throw like people with some form of mental illness into it, but then they don't. Then they just have them reacting like, like, I don't see anybody reacting like that. You know what I mean? I think you would say things not how you probably saw them. You would say things to sort of figure out, okay, what's happening here. You know what I mean? And that's like, because what normal human being is going to believe? Oh yeah, we're in Spoilerville, but oh yeah, I saw their shattered bodies at the bottom of that pit type thing. I don't. That's not any normal human being is not going to believe that. Even me as a horror filmmaker, I'm not going to automatically believe that if you tell me that. You know what I mean? So I think, and then just even the situation with the boy and stuff, I mean, he could easily said, oh, he was chewing gum and he choked. I mean, there's little things you could have said that made more sense and dealt with it, and I think
because realistically, he should have known the truth also, regardless. He knows he saw the kids come back, even though he thought he saw them there. Anyone would. I mean, he's taking lithium, so we know he has BPD. Like, let's be real. I have been with people in manic states, and I have not dealt with anything quite like what was portrayed here. So that's unusual for me. Also, they go on this trip, and this couple pawns their kids off on the other couple just like that. Like, oh, how about they go stay with you tonight? I'd be like, no, that's not happening. Like, that's just such a weird thing to do. And then yet, when their kids go and disappear, they're shocked. And then yet, when they think that dude was being mean to their kids, why did their kids go back and try to antagonize this guy? Why are your kids out of your sight again? Like, it's ridiculous. The whole thing's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Oh, and then the park ranger showing up for the murder. Give me a break.
What?
No.
Somebody has been murdered.
Yeah.
And this park ranger, let me just go check it out. Like I'm
that would never. That's actually
Deputy
they could
Doofus.
not do that for a freaking crime scene. Give me a break.
You stay here. Don't go anywhere.
I was like, there's blood. It's like,
these are all the things.
If there's been a murder, there'll be more than one cop showing up. It's a murder scene. That was just, that was stupidity. And
they're not going to send a park ranger who doesn't know anything about forensics. It's a joke. Like, this is why I had a problem with the writing. I liked the shots. I liked the story. I even liked a lot of the dialogue, but the actual story and the way it played out, I'm like, why did they do this?
Yeah, even towards the end, the girl probably could have escaped a whole lot earlier. She's like, let me just stare off while the key's in the car while I just stare off into the. It's like, just get in the freaking car, lady.
Okay, let's be real. If that whole thing had gone down with me and another couple, I would have left immediately. Like, I wouldn't have stayed. I'd be like, screw this. We're going home. Let's go home.
They should have. Yeah. I mean, there's like so many different things that didn't make sense logistically or what these characters would normally do, you know? And then like I had problems. Then it just felt like, were they supposed to be praying mantises or lightning bugs, or what was it, like a praying mantis, or what was that?
Some kind of
I think there's,
insectoid.
like,
Okay,
prey.
well, it's like, so why,
Yeah.
so were they, I guess we had that kind of shadow thing where they kind of form into like a human being and then we come out of it, but it's like, why don't they just stay in their bug form and kick ass? I don't, it just felt like this is just more because we don't have the budget.
I was going to say, I think that's a budgetary concern,
because you only saw it in shadow, you know, like, because we had that really cool, again, it has cool shots, like the part where they're outside the window and you see like, you know, which you know, it was kind of
walking down the hallway too.
Yeah,
I like
it felt like, it felt like,
It was nice.
like if it felt like a crappy Stephen King novel involving bugs, you know, because they're talking about, oh, they saw the lights in their eyes and the shining, and you know, I've literally you know, they wanted to say, oh, I saw the shining, you know, but yeah, but then it didn't make sense why they would transform back and forth, other than just trying to fool
They're just
them,
trying to make it very obvious that they're obviously insects. What? No, we totally got it. Okay.
Yeah,
but,
and then
like,
and then
sounds,
I thought
they were trying too hard with the sounds. I felt too.
And it was kind of obvious to me that we kind of saw what happened early on. I was like, well, if you just kick him into the pit, they're just going to show up again.
I know.
I mean, it's not like which I saw. I did kind of like that they have the sort of like the analogy of the bug light.
Oh yeah,
you know, which is just the pit's like a big bug light, except the bugs come back to life, I guess. I guess the people go down and die and the bugs come back to life. Maybe it's all the bugs. I've just figured it out. The bugs that are dying in the zapper are coming back through the pit. it's like the ethereal world of bugs have been zapped by that zapper. So
yeah,
but again, we don't know. They give no logic around any of that kind of stuff, you know?
And
like what was the point of the flowers?
I could have been okay with that if they hadn't. Honestly, it's some of these poor choices that they made in the story that literally took me so far out of the story that I was like, I sat there and I was like, I paused it and I was like, why did they do this? Like, they were doing, it was such a great job. Like, the relationship, the chemistry they were building was building, and I did see it happening, and then they decided to ruin it with the story. Like, I was like, why would they stay? Why would they allow not watch their kids again? Why? And then after their son died, their daughter leaves.
They just let her daughter outside. What, you wouldn't be concerned?
I don't understand them. Yeah, they would. This makes absolutely no sense. That's the problem with it.
And then you have
the story doesn't.
The Deus Ex, what's it called? The Deus Ex Machina point where the dad comes back out of the woods for no reason.
Yes.
So I did like that. I have to admit, I did like that. It's very giallo. It's very odd. It's very that part.
I think giallo makes more sense in this film. But yeah,
yes.
I mean, I will say, I mean, the how at the very, very ending, how it ends, I kind of like that.
Me too.
It's just a great moment where it just cuts to the title. I kind of like that part, but there's just there's just parts of it. I'm like, what is the whole point of this? I don't understand.
I'm not kidding when I say that the park ranger scene bothered me so much that had they just left that whole thing out and ignored the fact that the cops were called, I would have been happier. Like, that it's just so odd.
Who calls a park ranger for a murder?
They needed another victim. So
yeah, I don't understand. I don't know why that was there. I don't know if they were just, I think maybe they were trying to draw out the story and they didn't know how. I think the problem is the fault of this absolutely lies on the writers.
Okay.
I'm sorry, but it does. It's obvious.
I mean, yeah, because the acting is fine, even though I didn't think they had chemistry with each other. Their acting is actually, you know, pretty. Although I like Zach Gilford quite a bit. I was
when that park ranger, I laughed so hard because it felt like a who's on first routine. No, I thought you said they were in there. No, I'm talking about the kids. No, I thought you
Yes.
said the mom killed the.
Yeah, well, yeah,
It's like,
yeah,
what
yeah.
is going on here? This is like,
Uh,
I'm just as confused about what's happening.
All
I
right.
did. I really like the lead dude, whoever that guy is.
Zach
I don't know.
Gilford,
I don't
yeah,
know any of these
yeah.
people. Yeah,
He
did
was good,
him.
even though his motivations were stupid. But,
Well,
yeah.
yeah, I mean, and I don't think his background was well established well enough. I mean, we were told, right? We were told, and we were
Mhm.
shown with the bottle, but I don't think his character or the relationship with his wife
Okay,
expressed that
let's
enough.
let's be realistic though. Take that out of the story. The fact that he
It
is
doesn't matter,
beheading,
right?
and it didn't matter.
Yeah, it didn't matter.
They didn't even need to have that in there. That's why I'm like, what are you?
You could have.
Why?
They
Because I
just
said no one's gonna believe it. Like Christopher said, no one's gonna believe it regardless. It's
well,
silly.
He could have just been a serial liar, and
they
had, like
they
something like that.
needed
Even
needed
still, if you
something.
like, are you okay? Like,
Well,
no, anyone who's gonna tell you that, you're gonna be like, are you all right?
well, yeah,
Are
because
you
I think
okay? Yeah.
if it was just somebody who's suspicious or whatever, you know what I mean? And it
Mhm.
would have been more interesting if he just didn't come out and say that, and he just kept it to himself, trying to figure out like what the hell's happening. These
What's
kids,
really
what's
happening?
wrong with the
Yeah.
kids? But yeah, I think when they again that bad storytelling, it's like, oh, we just need something so they all have dirt on each other, so they can all
Yeah.
call each other, you're wrong, you're this is about you, and this is about you, and this is about you. When really it would just been more interesting if he didn't have any kind of form of mental illness that we had to not even say. They were even like, we don't want to say it because we're so witty. We're just gonna say it with a pill bottle, and you're saying, well, you have that issue.
Yeah.
It did pay off when she realized it was all true, and she's like, I'm so sorry. I totally believe you now.
It is, but
again, too little.
But were they making like the bugs and the chips? Were they making that him see that, or was he seeing that?
Oh, yeah. Just so they're doing the unreliable narrator thing.
Yeah, but that just annoyed me. It's like, so you're playing both. You're playing it both ways.
You didn't need it. It'd been more, yeah. Having them, undermine his sanity is more interesting than him, whether or not he's a reliable narrator. Just being seen as crazy by the others and not being able to.
Because it would have been more interesting if the movie played out and little by little he's seeing them do creepy things or whatever, but he's not saying anything about it, and he's trying to deal with it. That would have been a much more interesting story for me.
Someone who's already had see, I think it worked against them in this case, because I think someone who has bipolar disorder would be more cognizant and more wary of saying something, because they're going to be worried and be perceived as having an episode, as opposed to someone who doesn't have a problem and doesn't have. So do you see, like, I think he'd be more likely to keep it to himself, like Christopher said, and try to figure out on his own instead of being like,
well, especially when they
dead in a pit.
Yeah, especially when they go to the pit and there's no bodies there, and he has no. I mean, his whole deal of like, see, there's going to be bodies. There's not bodies there, and he's still like, I still don't believe it. And it's like, dude, catch a clue.
Yeah. All right, well, let's go ahead and wrap this up. Let's give our score 1 to 5 and our favorite scene. Oh boy, I think it's Christopher G. Mohr. You're up first. Let's have it.
Yeah, I think visually it's a cool film, but the story is lacking or needs a little bit better comprehension. So I will give this. I think it's worth saying for the visuals. So I'll give it a 3.5.
Okay, very good.
Okay.
I'll give it a 3.5. I don't hate the film. There's moments I did like the visual flourishes and stuff. And so as for favorite scene, I don't know. That very last shot scene. Because I'm a sucker for those kind of things, like Drag Me to Hell, just this thing, boom, title. And I did that in my film Disengaged. So I copied Sam Raimi. So I kind of like that aspect where it's just like, okay, She's like, I don't care anymore. Hit it. So yeah, that's probably my favorite scene.
Perfect. Crystal, you're up next. Let us have it.
Okay, so I'm also going to give it a 3.5 because
Wow.
I like. Well, yeah, there's a lot I like. Like I know we down a lot of it, but that's because I think that those are the things that kind of messed up a movie that could have been really, really good. Because I really liked a lot of the visuals, and I liked the feel of it and the flow of it, and I did like the character development, and there was a lot of good in it, and I agree with Christopher that it's absolutely worth watching to see because whoever the director is, I think
Roxanne
that they're
Benjamin.
okay. I think that's really nice. She has a good eye. I think that she would be one to watch. You know,
Just work with different writers.
Yeah, that's
There you go.
just too damn bad about that. And so I'm sorry, but my favorite scene is more like 2.5 some. I loved that. Like I died. Okay, so that dialogue was very well written. I agree with Chris. It's like that whole Maury Povich. When he said that, he was like, what did he say? Force of I mean more like 2.5 some. And I just that I was like, ooh, burn.
Bird. I mean, like I said, I was looking forward to watching this. It had my attention. I was rooting for the movie. I found at the beginning a little trying, but once I got into it, I started to really like it. I was going to give it a 3. So
yeah, that's good.
It's good.
And my favorite scene, gosh, I actually have 2, so that's interesting.
Okay.
But I think the whole machete through the shoulder thing.
Oh yeah.
Just the fact that it stayed in his shoulder for so long too, and then he's like walking out, and if it's not that, it's when the park ranger, we didn't like him flying through the window, because that was
that was a well composed shot of her running, and then you see that body just thrown out the middle of the window. Yep. That was really they had to. I wonder how many times they had to do that shot because that takes a little bit of practice and preparation.
Too, so yeah. How many times they had to put a fake window back into play? I don't know, that's where the budget went for all the fake windows.
The mother. I kept thinking I see her from somewhere. She felt like a combination of Jill State and Jennifer Love Hewitt. She just like if they made it.
She kind of did, right? But
she has that face where she looks really like one of another actress. But cool. Yeah, all the actors did well. It was just the story.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. All right, there you go. That's our review of There's Something Wrong with the Children. It'll be out on the I think I said the 17th of January. And it's going to be on MGM Plus. Now we were like,
which was Epix.
Which is Epix, yes.
It was Epix. Yes.
We were all like, what's this MGM Plus?
Although, I sent y'all an article, actually, just right before. Yeah.
Although I feel like the title should have been The Children Are Bugging Me, but that's just me.
Oh my.
Oh my. That
might give anything away.
God, of course it should have been. Oh my God. I mean, obviously, that was a missed opportunity.
I may have to steal that title for my own version.
It'd be more interesting if the pest control showed up instead of the park ranger.
Oh, if John Goodman from Arachnophobia showed up.
Yes, that's exactly what I was thinking.
Oh man.
Oh, okay. See, we just beat the writers. Sorry, writers.
Man. They're gonna hate us. All right, Crystal, Christopher, thank you for joining me. This is a lot of fun.
Thanks for having us. This was fun. Sorry to if any of the filmmakers are watching, but
the visuals are fun.
To be honest, yeah, beautiful.
All right, let's say good night.
Bye. Good night.
Gruesome Magazine.